Welcome to another episode of VIVA. I am Bonnie, your host.
And I am Cassianne, your co-host.
And today we're going to cover all things related to Black feminism, the politics, gender politics of protests, and Black women consistently on the front lines.
Yeah. Basically, since day one. We've had queens in Africa fighting for our freedom, fighting for the freedom of their people. Come all the way to Nanny in Jamaica, who rose up against the slave masters and burnt down farms and burnt down plantations and got her people together, all the way to Rosa Parks, who did not get her butt up from no seat to give no white man, okay? Yeah. Always on the front lines. And when you look at people like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, who they had next to them, a powerful Black woman, okay?
Period.
If you don't have that Black woman in your ear, you ain't gonna be great.
It's a problem.
Obama and Michelle Heller.
Yeah.
Let's now. Come on out, Jay-Z and Beyonce. Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah. And it's just so crazy because Black women, and I think especially darker skinned Black women, are consistently sort of put down, or not even sort of on the pedestal at all, right? For, in terms of beauty, in terms of intelligence, in terms of ambition, in terms of just overall femininity, womanhood. And I often wonder why that is, why have Black women historically just been the underdogs, yet are always the very visible and very faces of these sort of movements, right? And also the downfall of the Black woman. Toyin, the 19-year-old from Florida, who was on the front lines of the BLM protests in Miami, was found dead. And we're talking about justice for first we're talking about justice for the Black body, and then also the gender politics in this is that Breonna Taylor, there's a disproportionate amount of people rallying to support Breonna Taylor, rallying support for Breonna Taylor versus George Floyd. Yeah. And these were both very,
tragic incidents, tragic deaths.
Yeah. And murders, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even just a death. We're talking about homicide.
Yeah. And as you were saying, you see more people rallying for George Floyd versus Breonna Taylor, and you always ask yourself, why is it that people in general don't push for Black women as much as they do for Black men or just other races in general? We are always out there fighting for our people, fighting for our men, fighting for our children, just always fighting. And there was one thing that I had in there's a poem that I wrote, and it starts off going, only entities of a major threat is sought to be basically shut down by every sector of society, because when we realize our true power, there will be no stopping us. And I think everyone sees that power in a Black woman, right? Especially a dark-skinned Black woman, she walks into the room and it stops. It stops. And I feel because we have such power in our we're the only form of human being that can birth multiple color children.
This is true.
We're the only races,
this is true.
The only. And I think everything comes from us as Black women. I'm gonna say I am a goddess, by right. Everything comes from me. Everything comes from our ancestors. And I feel when you the way that you keep down a society is by stepping on its greatest power. And Black women are at the bottom of everyone's foot. And because they know. When when we retake this world, it's gonna be a different story out there. And I feel that's what people fear. People fear us. And are intimidated. I've had men tell me that they're intimidated by me.
Really?
For what reason? I have no. I'm a sweetheart. Hello. I'm an angel. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I speak out. I don't take crap from anyone. Maybe it's because I don't cower in a corner and go, oh, help me, save me, Mr. Hero guy. No, I can save myself and I can do things myself. And for me, I look at it as if someone come into my life to add value to it, on an equal ground, not that I'm supposed to be below.
Yeah.
So I feel like because a lot of Black women have this strength and this drive to be like, nah, you know, exactly. We're seen as like aggressive and whatever else when it's our passion.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see also, you know, how Black women are deemed as very powerful, and how, you know, a lot of like these sort of like white people, white folks.
You say it loud, say it proud.
Especially the white men as well, because white women, I mean, Black women have, you know, always, you know, we're seen as a Jezebel or, you know, like other sort of these other sort of like figures based off of stereotypes and illusions and projections of how people want us to be and not actually how we are seen. And it just is very frustrating because, you know, going through my Instagram feed these past few weeks and even like going through Twitter, you know, my Twitter timeline, and even to an extent Lipstick Alley, because I do like my gossip forums. You see how Black women are always, I mean, Black women are championing rights for everybody. But we're always seen as sort of, in the same vein that we're sort of championing these rights, we're in a lot of ways being dehumanized. And even the way that we're portrayed, you know, in the media, in television and films and literature, it's always seen as such. And I really wonder why. And even for when you look at images or photos from protests from Berlin to Atlanta to New York to you know, to protest even in the Middle East and like Tel Aviv, where you see lots of like Black bodies, you always see women. You know, and where are the men who are meant to be protecting women? Like a woman should not be a sort of human shield for a man in the midst of a protest. Like I don't think that we should be taking these rubber bullets for men who in a lot of ways are not reciprocating that same energy when it comes to protecting Black women in on social media and in real life.
And as you were saying, like, you know, the Black woman kind of just always stands in front of everybody and uses herself as a shield to shield everyone. And it's like, you know, I feel like it's come to a point where we need to stop now and advocate for ourselves only, because it goes to a simple thing as a Black woman uplifting another Black woman, and then people have something to say about that, and it's like, oh yeah, if she's a lawyer or a doctor, she has her doctor, that's the kind of woman that you can't tell them anything or whatever. It's like, why would you want to tell your wife or your partner, you know, like to follow your orders? That's boring. Like, who wants a partner that goes, yes sir, yes ma'am? It's a slave that they want. And and for us to have worked so hard for so many years to liberate ourselves, to finally be okay with our natural hair and with our skin. I went through hell in high school because of the insecurities that was you know, imposed upon me by my peers, because they liked lighter skin with the straight hair and so on and so forth. And I think it's high time, like, because we have, you know, recognized that we are this great power. I think people are so intimidated by it. So every like, I don't know, every entity that can work against us are trying to. It's just, it's mind-boggling to me. And to see somebody like Toyin, who, you know, tweeted about her assault and to only end up murdered 2 days later, it's a travesty.
And you know, and that is just so crazy, because I remember I went to her Twitter profile to see what she was tweeting in those moments, and it was also Black women who were questioning the validity of her story on Twitter. And I thought that was just so odd, because, you know, there were profiles who were saying, well, if you claim that you left your phone and other, you know, items in the church, then how are you tweeting this story? You know, like literally people were writing that on her Twitter profile and validating this experience that she had. And these people were other women, other Black women, right? And so you know, it just really makes me question, I guess, the true intention that Black women have
for each other.
Because I mean, because that just really, I don't know, I was just very triggered by the story itself. She's a young girl. Where are her friends? Where are her black female friends who are also meant to be protecting her? Where's where are the women in her family? And this is just another, and she's also Nigerian American, and so there are lots of Nigerian Americans who are also just like, well, where's justice for this Nigerian girl? And it just sheds light on another type of black experience within the U.S. Not to, and so I don't know what you think about that, like black women who are questioning the truthfulness of her story, of her experience.
I feel like in our society, especially within the black community and with black women in particular, I feel like there is this sort of pick-me syndrome that we have. Pick
what do
me.
You mean? Like,
so it's like, if someone experiences something, or I'm going to use it in a positive way.
Okay.
So if like one black woman, for example, starts a successful business, the other one will be like, yeah, well, I did this. To kind of invalidate the fact that this black woman has started. So it's kind of like crabs in a bucket. Pick me, look at me, because my story's better than yours. So it's like, pick me kind of thing. And then if you flip that and look at what happened to Toyin, and you see all these women making these comments like that, it's kind of like, because they're not getting attention, it doesn't even matter if it's negative or positive. They have to invalidate another black woman in order to make themselves feel better. And you see this with with black women who, for example, were defending R. Kelly. And you see this with they had like
black women defending.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Oh my god.
And not even just that. You see all of these, and then ultimately when you come back to the gist of everything, it's just like this complete and total disconnect. Obviously through DNA and kind of like society teaching us that we need to compete with each other. That telling us like, you have to be better than her, and you have to be the token person, because when you're the token person, then you get all the praise from the white people. So it all boils down to that. I think at the end of the day. But getting back to like, Toyin being on the front lines, and then she's just not protected by the people around her, her friends, her family, and someone who was supposed to be protected, a black man
from the church,
who is supposed to be protecting her, is the person that did this to her. Imagine being in this climate that we're in today, seeing all the things that are happening to black women, children, and black men. Seeing, these things happening with Breonna Taylor, and you see people trafficking our girls into sex slavery and all of these things. You see this happening. How is it possible that you as a black man would look at this woman and go, you know what? The climate that we're in, I'm going to rape this person.
Yeah.
And then murder her.
Or even also, how can you as a black woman then say, well, is this the truth? Like, is this really what happened? Is this her experience? And I just don't understand why. I mean, you also see it in like music as well, where there can never be one black female at the top, right?
Yeah.
Like, in order for one to be at the top, you have to put another woman at the top, right?
Exactly.
Like,
it's like they can't coexist, and that's a tactic.
Yeah,
that's a tactic that they use in order to keep us down. And enough of us do not realize, the more we build each other up, the more we collaborate, the more we work with each other to build each other up and go to high levels together, the more we will accomplish as a people. And if black men do not start to appreciate and uplift black women the way that we do for them, we will continue we will stay in this same stagnation that we've been in for 400 years, because that was a tactic used by slave masters to keep us apart, to break apart the families, to pin the men against the women, to pin light skin versus dark skin, and this and that. Once we realize that we are one black race of people, no matter where you're from, if it's Africa, if it's Jamaica, if it's wherever, United States, it doesn't
2/3 of the planet.
Exactly.
Black,
exactly. And if we don't realize that the more we kind of fight against each other and pit ourselves one person against, instead of looking at each other with guilty before proven, guilty until proven innocent. If we don't keep looking, it's actually innocent until proven guilty. But the way we look at each other, it's guilty until proven innocent. Right. And if we don't stop doing that, if we don't stop invalidating each other's stories and not listening to each other when we say, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm hurting. Yeah. Hey, this person did this to me. If we don't stop doing that, we will get absolutely nowhere as a race of people. Yeah. Nowhere.
I mean, yeah, this is true. And it's just, and like, I just really hate seeing Black women also, again, on the front lines, like taking it back to like the movement, the revolution, as I call it. This revolution where like you have Black women who are also on the front lines with their kids. So then you have, because in a lot of ways, Black women are generally at home with the kids. But you have Black women with the kids out in these streets, and it's like, where are these men
to protect them?
Where are they? Like your child shouldn't be used as a human shield to protect you from like a rubber bullet, or you know what I mean? Like these like, what do you call them? The gas explosions.
The tear gas.
The tear gas. I think that's absolutely insane. And that Black men still don't want to take accountability, or responsibility for
Black women,
for Black women,
Black family,
right? And seeing Black women also like defamed on TikTok a few weeks ago,
like
by Black boys, by young Black boys.
Yeah,
nobody is telling these kids that this is wrong, that they're disrespecting their mother, that they're disrespecting their sister, their auntie, their grandmas. Where the daddy's at? Like,
and they always pull it back to this thing like, oh yeah, daddy issues, and it's like, do you not realize that you are the daddy that's causing the issue?
Right, yeah.
Like, are you mad? Are you mad? Are you mad that you cannot realize that if you don't break this cycle, it will never be broken?
Yeah.
And when I see some of these Black men, I don't care about who people date. Date whomever the hell you want to. I don't care. Yeah. Okay? But when you start to bring Black women's name into shit for no reason, like absolutely no reason, it's like, what the hell did we do to end up in this conversation?
We didn't call
They're like, oh yeah, this is my white wife. I would never date a Black woman because Black women are animals. It's like, what the fuck? Sorry, YouTube. It's like, but what the hell did we do to end up in this conversation? Why can't you just uplift your white woman and leave us out of the conversation? I don't understand this. And you don't see, or even, I would say you rarely see it. And you're seeing it more so now because Black women are just angry. They're just like, shut up. I'm going to date who I want to, do whatever I want to, shut up. Where you would never see where a Black woman is uplifting her white boyfriend or white husband and go, because I hate Black men and I don't date. Like, you don't see that. Exactly.
Like, I ain't never heard it. I ain't never heard it. My white king.
Oh my God.
Have you ever? Like,
no.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some women out here, claiming it.
You never hear it. You never hear it. So it's just mind-boggling to me that, we have to just take so much hits from like left, right, and center every single day. I am so tired. Black men, we are tired. Basically. We are done. Like, when are you going to step up for us? When are you going to stand in front and go, you know what? My Black woman, she is queen, she is everything. And don't get me wrong, like, we know that it's not all Black men, because I see the Black men out there who love and adore the crap out of Black women. Like, they are there, but the media does not push this narrative.
Of course, because
they don't want us to thrive. They don't want us to survive. So that's why we see all of these TikTok videos and everything with these young boys, because that's what they push in our face. And then when a Black man goes, oh, I love my Black queens, they're this and they're that, their video gets reported. Yeah, it's like, why do you hate us? Exactly. It's like, why do you hate us? So we see that the media is pushing it. But what I think what we're trying to address is the Black men who actually take the time to make a video saying that he doesn't like black women or he can't date black women. Like, why would you even take the time to do that? Like, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Like, how could you wake up one day and say, I hate myself? Because that's basically what you're saying. Like, I hate myself. I don't value myself as a human being, you know?
Yeah.
And that just really, like, blows my mind. And also how you'll never also see even white men... You'll never see white women also be like, you know, I don't know, like rally for white men the way black women do. Like,
exactly.
Black women, we can be dog out dirt. We could be with a dusty, broke, unambitious.
He's my man though.
Right? You know,
he's my man though. And then when you do that, they go, oh yeah, make better decisions or whatever. And then you do better. And then you do better. Right, and then they try to,
or whatever. Yeah,
it's
people.
We can't win.
I mean, people want to see you come up, but never more than
them. Oof.
You know, they really do. And when you see this, it's always black women who are also just like, we want to see other black women succeed, but not better than us. And even black men are just like. Right? Like you see, because then you see these really successful black women, you know, who are lawyers, doctors, or, you know, successful in however they define it in their own right. And then they'll immediately deem them as sort of inaccessible. You know, like we don't have access to her because now she's, you know, on an entirely different field. And, you know, she is, but ultimately she's also still black.
And she's still human. And she still wants to be loved.
Right, yeah. See, these are the extremes that black women are sort of classified in. If we're not sort of over sexualized, then we're just like not, or we're seen as angry, right? If we're not seen as successful, then we're not successful at all. Then you know, we have like average blue collar jobs if we're not super successful, 6-figure earning, like super moms, right? Like, I mean, we just exist in these extremes and in these like very sort of unstructured paradigms, and I really don't like it. Of course I don't like it, but you know, because it's just because then it just begs the question, well, what else, what can black men do to lift us, to sort of continue to hold these pillars of like black womanhood and strength? Like, what can black men do if they're not being incarcerated, if they're not being killed, if they're not being harassed, even in Berlin, right? Like the majority of black men I see, unfortunately, in Berlin are not, or they're not in like very white collar professions, right? Like I don't see a lot of black men in particular in like these office jobs. Black women, yes, but not black men even in Berlin. And I wonder what, like, why that is. And I don't see black women like you know, in Berlin. I have to very actively go out of my way to find black women in Berlin.
I totally agree with you in terms of like the career, like the office, as you said, white collar, where you don't really see a lot of black men and so on. You know what the funny thing is? That they're there, but the companies just don't hire them.
In Berlin?
Yes. In Berlin, that is like, oh, we're so diverse. No, you ain't.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they don't, like, there's so many people who they have to work as chefs, for example, or as cleaners and so on, and they have degrees in engineering and all this stuff, but Germany does not recognize education from outside of the country. And it's the silliest thing to me. It's really silly. It's like, if someone is certified in something, why do they have to come here and do a whole nother degree in order for them to kind of get a job, you know, somewhere or something? And some of the black men can't afford to do that. You know, they can't afford to be like, okay, I'm going to study again, because they either have wives or they have girlfriends or they have children that they need to take care of, and they need to make money. And so like a lot of the resources are just not accessible to black men, I feel, in Germany. From my perspective, in my opinion, please, my perspective, in my opinion, okay? But let us know if you, how you feel about this particular topic, if we, you know, if you're on the same page as we are. But yeah, like, it's just coming back to like black women just being on the front lines all the time. It's really, it's exhausting.
I mean, exhausting. We are tired. Like, there's no other way to say it. I want to go to sleep right now. We're tired, like, of always sort of playing these roles simultaneously and sort of and playing these roles simultaneously and being oppressed, you know, and also when Black people, you know, sort of say negative. What are some stereotypes that black men say about Black women? That we're angry,
we're loud.
That's white rhetoric. That's oppressive white rhetoric. Like when Black men use that language to talk down on Black women, I see it as like you are embodying, you know, this sort of oppressive white rhetoric because you're using that language. And so if you're going to use, you know, this sort of language and be very verbally violent to Black women, I don't see a reason why I should respond. Yeah. You know, like, because that's really what it is. Just white oppressive rhetoric that you're using to talk down and degrade and dehumanize Black women. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really just I don't know. Tell us how we can get to a space where Black women are loved and cared for in society. As I said before, like, we need love too. We need love every single day. Like, we're so tender and kind and beautiful, and we shouldn't even be saying this. We should be.
I shouldn't have to ask.
Exactly.
Like, I just shouldn't have to ask. The same way, you know, snow bunnies are out here not having to ask to be seen as beautiful. Like, listen, oh my God. You know, these snow fairies out here, right? Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Really, you know, like, can I be what's the one? Rapunzel. You know what I mean? Like, can I?
Rapunzel. Yes, exactly.
So down your braids. Yes. Like, listen.
Exactly. Anyway. And the moral of the story is treat Black women better, because we are on the front lines out there for you, fighting every single day. We should not have to worry about walking at night on the streets and being attacked by our own Black men. Let us worry about the white men, and then, you know, we can take care of that. But not all of us. But yes, as a, you know, just treat us better, because we deserve it.
Do better.
Do better.
Men. Like, do better.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you for joining us again on another episode of VIVA. And don't forget to comment, like, and share if you care. And we'll see you next time.
That's it. Deuces.